Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of Council of May 8th. It being 3:45, I'll call the meeting to order with the land acknowledgement printed in our agenda and fairly complete agenda. So unless there's any amendments or conflicts, I'll entertain a motion to adopt. Seconded, all in favor of adoption. Carried. Okay, we go to item 4.1, which is a notice of motion in our agenda package regarding non-potable water supply. Don't propose, it's been introduced, I think, in our agenda, so I would certainly welcome any comments from or questions from council. To start with, Councillor Toth.
Thank you. I guess I just look at the date of August 15th, and I've got some concerns there about what sort of a position that might put our staff in if we haven't received the provincial water license by that date.
Okay, that's why the phrasing is about have it operational. Whether or not we have approval is, as we all know, out of our hands. But I guess my main driver in this is that I feel strongly that we need additional sources. I have concerns. First of all, I have there's some benefits to this, that if we have this supply, which it could be a high capacity supply, it would let our own staff fill their trucks that we use non-potable water faster. It offers some backup to whether it's wildfires, which hopefully not, our fire department on the same basis. Indeed, other commercial users I don't even want to speculate who might use them, but we know that there were lineups in the last few years at ebb tide, and what we don't know is how many people just said, forget it, it takes too long to get it at ebb tide. We're just not going to get it. And maybe they used potable or they let things go. So it's a long-winded comment to, I'm not suggesting that we will be operating this in the middle of August, but it would be a nice ability for us to go to Victoria if need be and say it's ready to go. We just need a signature. It's non-potable and hey, it's been tested. Yes, Councillor Shepherd.
Okay, that's not what C says. I mean, it sounds like or to the chair, you're amenable to changing that phrase. But my question through the chair to staff is, you know, this motion conflates potable water with non-potable. And we know this is a non-potable source. We know that I think from previous delegation from the fire department that they don't see it as use. They have existing, it's not important to them, or they would have said. And I guess my question through to, I think it would be engineering, would be, could the money be spent at other locations that to improve water volume? I mean, do we have long lineups? Because my final point is, I don't think we can prove the demand. Or I have a problem. You're saying with satisfying or getting an answer to that. Thanks.
Okay, I'll take the second part first. I agree. We don't know the demand until we have the supply. I'll turn the rest over to staff. No, we don't know what the community demand might be until we have the volume. We know that people know they can fill up a truck. Contractors, I was told last year, have water trucks. Are they filling them now in a well overnight? Or if it was available to them, would they come and use it more plentifully? I think this to me, for a small amount of money, is about if we build it, I think they'll come. If we don't, then we've got at least a source for our own supply. Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, thank you. If I could paraphrase the question from Councillor Shepherd, he's asking whether this 70,000 could be applied to another location like Ebb Tide. Okay, yes. So the answer to that question is unclear. We'd have to look at what type of well is there now, whether the screen is appropriate. So there'd have to be some work done on that. That 70,000 was specific to the Dusty Road well.
Mhm.
So the other thing is we have a license in process with the province. And so we would have to go back and provide that additional information that we intend to use a larger pump and whatnot. And that might take them a little bit more time to process that application.
I could just follow up on that then. Is there demand during the summer at ebb tide for that that is leading to lengthy delays for people getting water? Thanks.
Thank you again through the chair. So we have not heard a lot of that type of feedback anecdotally to staff. There has been some instances where some of the higher users have said that the equipment we had was not fast enough for them. And so we did enhance the equipment to deal with that, but we can always make improvements if we want to. And we did measure water consumption during the year that we had the local state of emergency, that was 2022. We found over a period of roughly a month and a half that about 1/5 the size of an Olympic swimming pool had been taken from the ebb tide location.
Which is how much?
I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but I could certainly
It's-
provide that to council.
It's significant, I think, in volume. It's
It's
thousands and thousands of liters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please, Councillor Top.
Thank you. I just wanted to share my own experiences with the ebb tide well last year because I actually did use it. I took a truck with a tote in the back of it over to the ebb tide well. And it was a 250 gallon tote, like one of the standard cage totes. And I had to go twice because there was somebody there the first time I tried to go. So not a big deal for me. But when I did go the second time, I was able to fill that tote in 17 minutes because I did time it because I wanted to know how long it would take. So the flow at ebb tide is decent for, your average homeowner use for sure. I ended up taking that tote home and spent most of a day pressure washing with it and then poured the remainder of it out because I had no use for the rest of the water. I am supportive of doing work with the Dusty Road well for non-potable purposes. Point C still gives me some hesitation. I'd rather it said something like that staff ensure the well is operational as soon as practicable upon receipt of the provincial water license. I'm not even sure legally if we're allowed to do work to install infrastructure before we have a water license in hand. So if we go and have it ready to turn on the taps, so to speak, and we don't have the license yet, are we actually in contravention of provincial law?
Can staff respond to that?
So just to paraphrase, so you're wondering through the chair whether we can get it operational, but we wouldn't turn it on after we got the license, is that correct? Okay, so we could do that. My only concern is like if we were to make it operational without operating it and we were to get the license conceivably we get it soon, but if it was within a year, we would potentially have a pump sitting in a well that's gone past its warranty period. And then we fire it up and some of the rubber gaskets have maybe got hard or brittle in that time. And so it makes more sense to put a pump into a well if you're intending to use the well right away.
Other questions? Councillor Inkster, you're far away. as in physically far away from me. No questions? Okay. Okay, then, I certainly, well, obviously, I proposed the motion, so I will make as written on page 3 of our agenda package, a motion and look for a seconder. Counselor Toth seconds. Any other comments or discussion? Yes, please.
Thank you. Like I said, the date component concerns me. So I'm gonna move an amendment so that point C would read that staff ensure the well is operational as soon as practicable upon receipt of the provincial water license. Otherwise, I'm supportive. Thank you.
Okay, so that's a motion, a motion to amend. You seconding? Okay. Discussion on that? Is essentially that, from what we're hearing about and what we know about applications for water licenses, and remember, this is non-potable, but emergency times is what I'm focused on. So I'm not in favor of the amendment, simply because we can put a well, pump in a well to test it, which is allowed under the law. And if need be, we could take it out, but at least we know it fits. We know it's the fittings and the bushings and the whatevers are in there. So pull it out if we feel we're not going to need it, and have it sitting in the shelf in the adjacent ops center makes sense. So at that point, I would prefer to stay with the motion as I've submitted or presented. So the motion to, yes, Councillor Shepherd.
Sorry, could I hear the amendment again, please?
So item C would read that staff ensure the well is operational as soon as practicable upon receipt of the provincial water license.
Okay, any further discussion? Call the question on the amendment. All in favor? Okay, well, I'm opposed. The motion carries. Okay, so we go back to the motion as amended. Any further discussion?
Yeah, my apologies if I'm just reiterating my point, but I still don't see the demand. We don't see a interest from the fire department for this. I recognize why it's being brought forward, because of the potential for problems with non-potable water. But I guess in support of taking a measure, I don't know if this is the right one, or, yeah, I'm really hesitant about this. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Do you have another solution? Because that's why this is here. I've looked high and wide and all over for other options. And this is the best one that I've come up with. So, and I'd rather have the capacity if we need it. Fire department doesn't need it today, but we're dealing with interface issues and such. So I'd like to have the added flexibility that this provides. Councillor Inkster. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to support this. Going forward, I'm going to be, I hope we can find the financial means in some ways, Sue Big Oil, because I'm going to be looking for mitigation for climate change going forward. And this is one piece of the mitigation piece. That's why I'm supporting this. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I won't take up that softball or hardball, but okay. Councillor Shepherd.
Sorry, I'll ask another question of engineering through the chair if I could. Is it worth spending more money on ebb tide in terms of equipment to provide further flow. Would that be another measure?
Can you address it to me, please?
To the
Yeah.
chair.
The other benefit that I realize I didn't itemize in here is large vehicles can get into this much more easily into the operation center front parking area. So when you're talking about tanker trucks that the contractors have, for example, and a further application to help, if it helps, is dust control. That there are certain situations where contractors want or are obliged to manage their dust control. So the ability to fill a truck, Councillor Toth earlier said 17 minutes, I think, to fill a 250 gallon tote. A truck would take about 10 times that. So 3 hours. So that I'll turn it to staff for their comments as well.
Thank you. So of the staff response, some of what the mayor has stated, I agree with. There is more space, definitely at Dusty Road for a long-term solution. The parking lot at WRC is actually quite limited. There's ingress and egress issues, as well as the fact that it's in a residential area. So increasing the flows at that location, I believe, would be problematic for the residents that live there on that street. And for those reasons, I think it makes more sense to do something bigger at Dusty Road. Just, bearing in mind that we follow the correct processes in terms of licensing, but there is more space there for a better facility.
Thank you. It's not something I've really thought much about recently, but the SCRD is going to be doing a bunch of test wells in the Seashell area. And when I look at what we have at Ebb Tide, and I look at what we might be doing here at Dusty Road, and I think about where those other test wells are being drilled, there might actually be an opportunity for us over the next few years to develop some of these test wells as non-potable water sources in our neighborhoods. Like one of the ones that's being drilled is at Whitaker Park. And if it ends up not being suitable for drinking water, maybe that's something for the Davis Bay Wilson Creek neighborhood that we can develop. Same thing with Kinnickinnick. They're looking at drilling a well at the Kinnickinnick sports fields, basically. And if it's not suitable for drinking water, well, we can be right behind them to turn that into an irrigation well, maybe. I think this is the start of a strategy, perhaps, to try and provide more options for people within their own neighborhoods. Like somebody can drive down there with a Rubbermaid tote, fill it up with water in August if they have to. But it's, less distance for them to travel to do it. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Toth.
Thank you. I forgot my question in all of that. I guess my only question is, what kind of flow does $80,000 worth of equipment buy us? Can we actually fill a tanker truck with $80,000 worth of equipment in a reasonable time?
My understanding from work I did over a year ago is that a pump that would fit into this pipe would do 300 gallons a minute, which memory serves is about 50 liters per second. No, I beg your pardon, 30 liters per second. Church Road is 50 liters per second, so.
Just for clarity then, in you answering that, did our staff do that work that you're referencing?
No,
Oh,
no, some professionals in the well drilling industry. So there's a physical size to the pipe
yeah.
that's drilled. So obviously you can't put a bigger pump down than the diameter of the pipe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to represent that I am an authority on this, but
Yeah.
it is in the scale of what I said, whether it's 20 liters a second or 30 liters. Yes, it would fill a truck very quickly. Looking at.
Thank you. I was just waiting for Councillor Inkster to turn his microphone off. I guess my only question is, we might be able to, so to speak, jam a big enough pump down there. But if we were talking about something the scale of Church Road, there's a three-phase power
No,
had to
no.
be brought into it. There's a high
Yep.
voltage substation in that treatment building. Like, there's a lot more equipment than I think $80,000 would buy us. So
No
that,
question.
that's my question, yeah.
To explain to the Red Seal electrician, which is a dangerous thing, this is single phase. The pump that would fit in that I'm referencing is single phase.
Interesting.
Okay, anything else on this, council? We have an amended motion before us. I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, we go to item 5.1. We have the consolidated financial plan and tax rate bylaw. Before us, I guess, Mr. Douglas, do you want to, there's been some changes to the documents that we have been looking at.
Yeah, there's
that-
been no changes to the document from third reading to here for final adoption. We have several bylaws that we're looking for final adoption today. That's kind of the gist of all the reports, so I wasn't gonna go through all the reports.
No, I wasn't suggesting, but you
Yeah.
did send an email out saying there were changes to some of the financial plan book.
The financial plan book, yes.
Yes,
Which isn't on the agenda today. But yes, we
Yes.
swapped out just 3 pages that one of the graphs came across funny, so we swapped that back with a colored graph, which was intended. Page 55 and 56 were in the book, were just the wrong pages, so we just swapped in the right pages, but there's no changes to the financial plan.
right, because the financial plan is a consolidated group of, so all the numbers still add up. It's the
Correct.
sub items that were well, needed to be fixed. So they'll be fixed in the book that gets published.
They have been, and they're already published on the website.
Okay, did we correct the typo at the top of whatever the page was?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, council, it's before us for, so there's no changes to the numbers that we looked at last week. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Then we go to page 9 for the actual bylaw. And it's before us for adoption. Moved, seconded, somewhat. Right? Okay, great. So that's fine. I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. And we then go to page 15. This is, again, the tax rates bylaw, riveting stuff. Move the recommendation. Seconded, all in favor? Carried. And page 17. This is 2024 tax rate bylaw number 622, comma 2024. Before us for adoption, moved, seconded. All in favor? Carried. Go to page 20, sewer user fees. And this is the report before us. Motion to endorse whatever, take the recommendation. All in favor? And then the same thing on page 22, which is, well, not the same thing, I stand to be corrected. Sewer user fees amendment bylaw number 426-19, 2024. And again, moved, seconded, All in favor? Carried. 2020, page 25, septage disposal fees amendment. Move seconded. All in favor of the recommendation? And then I guess we go to page 27. Septage disposal fees amendment bylaw number 483-7, 2024 on page 27. Thank you. Seconded. All in favor? Carried. And page 29. So the fees and charges amendment bylaw regarding solid waste, and we have the staff report. You're okay, you're okay. All in favor? We're all okay. And last but not least, the actual amendment of the bylaw, fees and charges amendment bylaw number 575-15, 2024. Motion seconded. Any discussion? Oh, please.
Thank you. I'm not looking to make any changes. I just wanted a little bit of information for my own. Yeah, anyways, the fee that we're setting to for this year for 2024, I think is, we've got one more fee increased scheduled for 2025. As part of, there's a catch up in the fees and a decline in the solid waste reserves. I'm just looking for confirmation of that. Yeah, I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Mr.
Yep.
Douglas?
Yes, through the chair, that's correct. Yeah,
So it's correct, we have one more year,
yes.
and then the anticipation is the fees. Sorry, remind me.
Well, I guess the question I wasn't, or was thinking about not asking was that, I think that takes us to where we need to be for the current contract values for
In terms
waste.
of building the reserve.
No, in terms of, I think we're drawing down the reserve right now
Right.
and
yes, I thought
gradually
so.
bringing up the fees to pay for the contract. So my
Right.
question that I didn't ask, is when is the contract up for renewal?
Right.
Because that's when I suspect we'll see another increase in the cost of the contract. Thank you.
You happen to know, Mr. Douglas?
Yeah, initially it was a 5-year contract, and I believe we're we're in the middle of year 2 or in the middle of year 3, so, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, with that clarification, I'll call the question. All in favor of adoption? Thank you. Tripping over cables. Okay, so that brings us to the last item on the agenda. So council, we have an amendment to propose. I guess I have an amendment to propose to the item 6 that we, in addition to what's written there, that we amend the closed session document to include section 91C, as in C for Charlie, and that the May regular council closed meeting agenda be adopted as amended. Right? No, this is in here where, so paraphrasing, we're adding paragraph C on, for item 6. Move it. Okay, second. All in favor? Carried. So with that, we will recess, shut down and, yeah, Counselor Toff? No. No, we don't, no, because we come back to adjourn, so recess, don't we?